Hi there, Karen Flaherty from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to be talking about the Gate 11, which is called the Gate of Ideas or Peace. So the sun in Gate 11 started this morning, the 14th of December, and it goes until late on December 19th. The Earth is in Gate 12, which is called Caution. Gate 12 comes off the side of the throat, and the Gate 11 comes off the bottom of the ajna, right here, all by itself. And so if you have any gates that connect up to those, then those will give you more definition. But basically, we've got the throat defined this week because of the 35-36, as well as the solar plexus. So again, we're going to have a very relatively emotional week with people who think that they can speak no matter what's going on. It makes all of us feel like manifestors to a certain extent, and that can work to your advantage or not. So it's up to you. But we've got the 35-36, the channel of transitoriness defined all week. And then we've got Mars, Uranus, and the nodes are retrograde. And we're starting the Mercury retrograde, what they call the shadow phase, that goes until the 29th of December. So that's beginning, that energy is beginning as well. So we've got the sun in Gate 11. It's called Peace or Ideas in the original I Ching. It's a harmonic condition in the individual society that permits assessment before renewed action. So the harmonic condition being the ideas that we take in, and they're rather individual, but they can be assessed basically before they create the action, right? So they're ideas. They're just kind of waiting to hatch and waiting to be there for us. The incarnation crosses this week are the crosses of Eden, ideas, and education. And in the Gate 12, we've got caution or standstill in the original I Ching, and this is the quality of restraint and the importance of meditation and inaction in confronting temptation. What that is all about is taking your time, being cautious of your reputation, particularly taking your time when you're out and in the public eye, and especially being careful on social media. So it's a week when, I heard an interview this morning from somebody in cybersecurity talking about TikTok and other types of social media and how they affect children, and when and where the kids should have cell phones or access to social media and things like that. So again, this is the kind of thing that's just in the ether, right? It's things that we'll be talking about this week. In the Gene Keys, vanity is the shadow, discrimination is the gift, and purity is the CD. So with this Gene Key 11, in the graphic, Richard Rudd says sometimes a mistake is pure gold. And so this is the kind of thing where ideas or the light can be new and different and very individual, and they can lead to mistakes, but those mistakes can create pure gold in our lives. He also says the greater percentage of human beings on this planet live within a very narrow band of light waves. So in other words, their frequency is just at a certain amount, and they don't go like too much above or too much below. And it's through the 11th gift, he says, that the true art of magic is once again returning to the world. So it's this gift of idealism. The shadow is obscurity, the gift is idealism, and the CD is light. So the light being the highest version of it, obscurity being the lowest in terms of not using the ideas that you might have. And the gift is the idealism, which is in the middle. So basically using the ideas to create peace in the world. And he also says that the light is only to be found within the darkness is the greatest of mysteries. In other words, it's a contrast, but we can't have the light without the darkness. So we have to have the darkness at times to be able to have the light. We have to have the morning to have the evening. We have to have the sun to have the moon. It's all a contrast. It's all the back and forth. It's a balance. It's the circle of life, if you will, and it continues on. And that is just the way things are. So we can't have the light until we've had the darkness first. And usually it's what makes the light so enduring and empowering and life-giving, because we've already been through the darkness. So in the Sun Gate 11, we've got a number of personalities who were born in, these are the right angle cross of Eden, ideas and education. And the one we're going to be looking at today is Steven Spielberg. So Steven Spielberg was born December 18th, 1946. He's going to be 76 years old on December 18th, and he was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. They moved around a bit. It was Ohio and then New Jersey, actually, and then Arizona. And then he went to school in California to study film, the film industry. He's a projector with a 5'1" profile. He has the left angle cross of education. And as you probably know, he's an American director, writer, and producer of films. Some of his most famous films were, well, he started with Sugarland Express. That was the first one he directed. He directed Jaws, E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Schindler's List. In that same year, he created Jurassic Park, or directed Jurassic Park. And he's the winner of 3 Academy Awards and lots of other accolades, including Lifetime Achievement Awards. So he does that have that 11 right up in his conscious sun, and the 12 in the conscious earth. So he's full of ideas, very intuitive, and thought of as being an intuitive genius, basically, when it comes to film and filmmaking and the way he sees a shot and the way he directs his actors and things like that. He does also have up in the unconscious sun and earth the 46 and 25. And he also has in his unconscious sun and earth the 46 and 25, which are 2 of the love gates. So he's got actually 3 of the love gates. He's got the love of the self in the 10. He's got the love of the flesh in the 46 and the love of the spirit in the 25. So he has a few of those. He also has the 50, which is values, and it's really about a very usually kind and understanding kind of person. He's got the 28, which is struggle, the 18, which is all about correction and making things better, improving things, which he was happy to do. The 48, which means he studies and studies and studies before he actually works on something. And as a projector in the film industry, it was actually a lovely way for him to be the projector, being very on when he had a project, and then taking some time off, doing the project and then taking some time off. He was able to do that, be very intense about the study and the research, going up to the movie or film, and then being able to be really intense while filming it, and then being able to take some time off. In fact, sometimes he even took a few years off after the big projects. Only has 2 centers. So Stephen only has 2 centers defined, the throat and the G center. So he always, ironically, he always knew what he wanted to do from a very young age. He was picking up a camera. His father had some kind of a camera that you could basically take a film with, the old 35 millimeter probably, since he grew up in the 60s and 70s. And he took a film of his Lionel trains having a crash. That was his very first film. And so he knew it from very early on, what he wanted to do. And it didn't change at all. Finished high school, went to college in California to learn the film industry. Got a contract and started filming, started working in the studios first as an intern, and then as a paid. He actually got a contract at the age of 22 for a 7-year contract as a director. And his very first film that he was able to direct one scene in it was with a film by Rod Serling, and Joan Crawford was the actress. And at first, she thought this was crazy for a 22-year-old to be directing her. And then she realized that the experience that others had them doing things in a rote fashion, whereas Steven Spielberg's genius was that he saw everything from a completely new lens, a completely different point of view. And she actually wrote a lovely note to him and to Rod Serling, and was quoted in an interview saying how wonderful it was to work with him. And so, and she could tell right away that he was a genius and would always be around. And that was a prescient thought, because he certainly was. So anyway, he has these 2 centers defined. So he can speak, as a projector when he is spoken to, right? When he is spoken to, he will be heard. But most people on the set are coming up to ask him questions, so it's a perfect role for him to be the director, the producer, the writer, and all that. And with that defined G, he always had a good sense of direction. He always knew where he was headed. The only channel he's got is the 31.7, which is the channel of the alpha. So in any room, any environment, any meeting, any place where he would be considered the alpha dog, to put it bluntly. Basically, he was just someone who was able to be the leader. He would be, drafted or asked to be the leader, asked to do the projects if he wasn't already involved or writing them. But he took it on. He was the leader. And he, when he spoke, with the 31, he spoke with influence. With the 45, he had the gate of the king, both conscious and unconscious. And it's down in Uranus, actually. But he would be seen as someone with leadership qualities as he entered the room. He had that 12, which allowed him to be cautious about his reputation. I don't know of any scandals that Steven Spielberg was ever in. So his first wife was Amy Irving, and they had one child. And then with Kate Capshaw, he had a stepdaughter and then a number of biological children with her. And I think one adopted child. So a lot of children, big family, but a lot of openness in his chart, right? Open head and open ajna. He does have that gate of ideas. And the 43 is breakthroughs. And then he's got, off the G center, a number of gates also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gates off the G, which is a lot about direction and self-love and, being able to set the course for your life, maybe not knowing how to get there, but he would always know what he wanted, and that was to be a filmmaker. And he pursued that doggedly. But then he's got all this openness. So he's got the open solar plexus, completely open will center, completely open root center, completely open head. And then down here, he's got a few gates coming off the spleen and just 2 gates coming off the sacral, which is interesting because with these 2 gates, the 9 is all about focus, and then the 5 is all about being in pattern or rhythm of life that works for him. And so I don't know a lot about his personal life, but it seems that he would be somebody who would be rather disciplined about his eating and his sleeping and his exercise, because he's not, because of his travel schedule, because of being on set for so many days at a time, you would want to be very disciplined about that kind of the eating and sleeping and exercise, obviously, so that you stay well and healthy while you're doing that, right? Let's see. So he's got the open root, which means he's going to feel some pressure from the people who are around him. He's got the open spleen, and we talked about the gates coming off here, but that also gives him that intuitive capability to be able to find things that will work in a unique way, right? He can be intuitive about how to do it all. Anyway, so that's Steven Spielberg. Interestingly, in his Chiron, he's got both struggle and 32, which is all about having a business. And he has been a very successful businessman. He's actually worth, and I was surprised to see this, but according to the research I did, he's worth over $4 billion, which is quite a bit of money. Long career, of course, since he was 22, and now he's turning 76. So he's been in the business about 55 years now. But he has been very successful financially and in terms of the movie he's done, the types of movies he's done. They have been highly grossing films, but also very, very much landmark films in terms of things like Schindler's List and the movie Lincoln and E.T. and Jaws. There are a lot of really blockbuster type movies there. And so he is thought to be the director who really started the blockbuster craze trend in blockbuster movies. So that's Steven Spielberg. Happy birthday, Steven. And I hope you have a great week. If you have new ideas, you might want to write them down. It might be a great week for bringing new ideas to the fore, or having, in fact, now that I'm thinking about it, a friend of mine just texted me this morning and said, I have an idea for a book, and I'm writing down the outline. It's that kind of a week. So if that happens to you, be sure you've got a pad or your phone nearby and write down what comes to you. I hope it's a great week. Take care.